Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Cronkite Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my man in the building, Donovan Speak. I got the Queen, Demetri K. And I am the five-star general police chief, Art Acevedo, is out the building. The question is who's going to take his place? But I think the elephant in the room is why is he even leaving in the first place? We don't talk about it tonight. Get a seatbelt, hide the women and children. It's going to get interesting. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for tuning in. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a show. You're the best audience in the world. And I want to start it off by saying I don't know what the hell is going on with my Facebook. Ever since I got out of jail on parole in Facebook, I don't know. I think it turned off my ability to send these videos out to y'all. So my numbers look crazy. But I got 36,000 followers. So, you're going to have to resubscribe to the videos or however that shit go. But, outside of that, I'm up here in Minneapolis in the middle of a snowstorm. Class start tomorrow and I'm going to get it in. So, Donovan, what's going on, my friend?
What is going on? What is going on? Welcome everybody to the War Zone today. A lot of stuff is actually happening. Like I said, very shocking, the Art Acevedo's announcement and how it was done. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I want you guys to pay attention because remember, Mr. Acevedo and his family, they came here during the 1960s under the Castro regime, and their family is one of those landowning type, rich, light-skinned Cubans. But a lot of people don't know this. 80% of Cubans are black, like me. They're black. They look like us sitting up here on this panel. And they love Castro because he did a lot of stuff for the black people in Cuba. As far as the national news, Joe Biden, he has been vaccinating, and they are putting pressure on Donald Trump to step in there and get some of his people to vaccinate, because as we know, a lot of Republicans, for political consideration, oh, Donald Trump didn't tell us to vaccinate, so we're not going to do it. We're trying to get to herd immunity. And once again, they've politicized another situation, and here we are. So buckle your seatbelts, brace for impact. It's going to be an exciting show. Demetri?
So hello, everybody. How are you this fine Monday? Welcome to Monday night's edition of the War Zone. If you guys could do us a favor, I'm actually looking at the numbers too on my phone, and it says we got 13 people watching. I know Gary has a lot of other pages where there's other people watching. YouTube is a whole nother audience. You guys can't see YouTube's comments, but YouTube is most definitely in the building. But if you could do us a favor and share this live so that everybody else can get the information and join in on the conversation, we would greatly appreciate it, because we need people to be able to join in on the conversation and see what's going on. So if you guys can help, yes, John from YouTube, we see you. If you guys can help us out by sharing this, that would be great. So Gary, what's going on there?
Well, last night I broke a story. I'm glad I get to hang out with y'all because we get to break stories that even the news can't break. Last night I get some intel from the Houston Police Department that Chief Art Acevedo was stepping down and taking the job in Miami. This before ABC, NBC, CBS, before the Houston Chronicle. I put the actual email up that he sent internally and covered the pertinent information, by the way, but put the email up to let everybody see this wasn't a game. I verified it before I put it up, and it was true that Chief Acevedo is going to Miami. We kind of talked about this a little earlier with Donovan, but of course we need your very opinionated opinion to me. Acevedo and me, I let everybody else do the the thing where they allegedly, I'm not alleging nothing. Acevedo leaving because he got to deal with that Gerald Coins case And all that stuff is in the middle of it, where, it doesn't look good for him. And eventually Turner, if this thing can go to trial before Turner was out of office, Turner would have had to fire him. He would have had to fire him. So now you sneak off to Miami, but we got family in Miami. We got family in Miami, and they ain't happy about this. How you get to go to Miami when you done messed up everything down here? And all you people out there that was dancing with him in the streets, with the George Floyd thing and all this, man, I told y'all. Donovan told y'all. Demetri told y'all. Y'all dancing with the devil, man. Not him per se, but the police. And now this man is leaving, going to Miami. But I ain't got too much to do some days, Demetri, so I might have to pop up in Miami. Get with the local community activists and raise some hell. Because normally when you move from one job to the next and stuff like this, you should leave the place where you were better than when you found it. We're a whole lot worse than when he got here. And honestly, it wasn't all his fault. But you took the job. You knew the dynamics of it when you got here. Our crime rate is through the roof. And now you off to Miami. Donovan?
Well, let me ask you this, 5-star. I mean, we wish him well in his future endeavors. And we know the system, like when it comes to Black people, we go through these interviews, and the only reason they let us go through the interview is so they can justify the process. They've already picked their boy and, how, their person that they're going to get it. Becky's going to get it, or, Chris, is going to get it. My nephew that I've had for a long time. That's how white supremacy works, right? Could you please tell us how, in the time that he was named in a lawsuit, which was in late January, by the way, and the doctor's going to talk about that when she gets on here, that was in late January, how did he go from a city of Houston to Miami, and he didn't even go through the process?
I think it's the connections, the political connections, man. At the end of the day, I don't think that it was possible to go through that whole process in a little bit over a month. No, it takes longer to vet people. And if they vetted him, they would know he's not hired right now. He's caught up in a major police corruption case. The actual lawsuit puts him at the scene of the Tuttle Nicholas murder. 30 minutes after the raid actually was over, there were 2 additional shots. Basically, Dennis Tuttle was assassinated, but he was on the scene. And the strangest thing is normally when an officer gets hit, I don't care if it's in the smallest town or if it's in the biggest city, the chief of police is always at the hospital with the officer. But my man was still at the scene. He didn't go to the hospital initially. So, I mean, you got a bunch of people that's kind of caught up in this thing. Acevedo, of course, the officers, the one that gave the actual order, Lieutenant Marshal Todd, Demetri, who's actually therapy now. Now you want to play crazy, huh? Now you want to play crazy, huh? You going to penitentiary. And they don't really cut for cops in the commissary line in penitentiary. But you going to jail. You got Joe Grimaldi, the union, who went to bat for these cops. It just looks horrible. And I don't see how he was able to do it unless it was just through political connections, not personal, but political connections.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he did it either. And again, I'm still being filled in on the particulars, but it sounds like Chief Art Acevedo is going to Florida to become the police chief there in Miami. And I guess, and I read the letter, it was kind of ambiguous as to why he was leaving. He was saying it was bittersweet. And Mayor Turner's been awesome. And I'm paraphrasing at this point, but never really gave a good reason as to why he's leaving. Normally when a police chief leaves, or goes to another city or state, it's because that particular precinct or whatever it is they're going to is in need of one, like, you know, Chicago. We've heard about them getting police chiefs, some of them from Los Angeles and things like that. And so, I mean, I don't know if there's a shakeup per se in Miami, but I thought, you know, that Chief Art Acevedo had recently gotten to Houston. And when he was on the show, he seemed like he really loved the job. And, you know, and he's amongst the people. They said he wasn't going to run for mayor when we asked him. So it sounds like, you know, he was trying to make his home in Houston, and then, you know, he's all of a sudden leaving. And so I guess it really remains to be seen. Now, I don't know how much really of a vetting process there is, especially among known police chiefs. You know, a lot of them, it sounds like he's, you know, pretty well known. So I don't know how much of a vetting process they would already need. But I have a question, Gary. Does moving out of state absolve him from answering to charges that he may potentially be facing in Houston due to the Tuttle case?
No, it doesn't at all. Gonna have to answer for it. And the sad part is, as bad as it is, and knowing that Turner would have had to fire him, Miami, you're gonna have to fire him too. You're gonna have to fire him too. So I think you might need to pump your brakes, go back in, look at it, and we know he over the National Police chief organization. You know, that's how you pull this whole job thing off. And I want people to understand, it's not that I don't like the chief on a personal level. I think he's a great guy on a personal level. On the police level, you full of shit. Your people's murdered them people, man. Now, think about this here, Dimitri. You good with timelines, and you keep us in order some days. How the fuck this ain't went to trial in 3 years when the man put his knee on George's neck a little bit under a year ago? And it's in trial. They didn't want it to go to trial because they knew. They knew. And now all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, and my Latino brothers and sisters, you sure y'all don't need y'all own roots? Y'all don't need y'all own roots. Because every time we give you Latino leadership, them motherfuckers run out the back door like Kunta Kinte. Your people done ran away from the school board. Now your police chief running off. Sam Payne, you must be next. And that's the fire chief. But the sad part is the mayor knows this. This whole crooked ass shit they got going on down there with all them politicians, man, it just makes my stomach turn.
You know, a lot of what I think is going on is, as technology is getting better and you've got these platforms like the War Zone, the Watchdog show down there, one of the premier shows in the new black media, they weren't ready for that, because as this case has been evolving and over 3 years, new things keep coming out and coming out. Like I said, nobody knew that the chief stayed on the scene till last year, sometime when you broke the story in regards to that. So it's like he, you know, what I think it was, the old way of doing things and fucking people in the ass, excuse my language, whatever, but basically in the system. Because black people, we go from tragedy to tragedy to tragedy, right? Americans have the shortest memory span ever on the planet. I can say that. They were hoping that you guys would just forget this thing as the next tragedy comes on and it just slips under the radar and they just adjudicate it without major press. But because of the new black media and what's going on, like I said, I'm here in Los Angeles, you guys are in Houston. Black people are, you know, we're talking, and thank God our friends out here, they're talking among themselves and keeping this story alive. And I'm just honestly speculating. I thought the pressure to him when that thing dropped and he was named in the lawsuit, he was done at that point. If it wasn't for that, I think he probably would have stayed. But now that he sees that he is named as a major police chief of the 4th largest city in the United States in a training day incident, and I'm talking about the movie, he's like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
The move was, to me, like this: Houston to Miami. It ain't going up the chain. Why would you just shift? because it's just not right. And I want to say this, and then I'll give it to you, Demetri. I'm third ward Texas till I die. I love where I come from. I wear it with a badge of honor. I used to love to go perform in Dallas and throw that each up on their ass all the time. It's an embarrassment nowadays to say that you're from Houston. It's truly an embarrassment with all the crooked shit going on, with the lights going off and people not having water. The politicians stay caught up in the bullshit. Now, a lot of y'all may not give damn about where you come from or how you represent yourself. But some of us, man, it's a fucking problem for us, man. And y'all black politicians that ain't saying jack shit right now, that tells me a whole lot about y'all. To me.
Yeah, so I just want to go back to your point about, George Floyd's case is already in trial a year or so. Well, not even a year later, right? At this point. And
Kyle Rittenhouse too.
Well, yeah, he's still on the loose. His won't go to trial until 7 months from now, for whatever reason. And the Tuttle's case being about 3 years or so, and it still hasn't gone to trial. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the differences between those cases are there were witnesses, but what kind of witnesses were there? Was it all police officers that were witnesses, if you will, at the Tuttle's case, opposed to George Floyd's case? There was, let's call her a bystander that took the video and, it became national. So, if there were mostly police officers on the scene, of course, they're going to cover their own backs. They're not going to cross the blue line. A couple months ago, the story came out. Nobody even knew the chief was there until, I guess the transcripts or the court documents, whatever it was, came out. So the difference is the witnesses, the caliber of witnesses. They're going to, stick up for each other and, lie, whatever they got to do. But in George Floyd's case, which, is to me an anomaly in today's day and age, that the case went through so fast. But we all know it went through so fast because of the international outrage that it caused. But normally that's not the case. So I think that's what the difference was, the caliber of witnesses that were there.
Well, ain't none of them witnesses should be able to testify in court because all them fuckers lied. All them police officers are pathological liars. It's been proven. The one that gave the order, Marcia Todd, they know it. Where, and I'm going to just say this here because I know Demetri don't know, Donovan don't know, where is Gerald Goins' personal cell phone? Where's his personal cell phone? Because that's going to tell it all. You see what I'm saying? We are in a city where the police chief knows that the people under his command wrongfully murdered 2 innocent white people. The mayor knows that these people were wrongfully murdered. And and we always find a way to let them get away. Whether we let them go to another department, whether we let them resign with their pensions, we always find a way to let Houston police, corrupt police officers, off the hook. Every single time we let them go. And I'm telling y'all, you're sitting on a powder keg, homie. The hood, I'm telling you, the hood is tired, man. You still sending them white cops in them black neighborhoods at night. They still riding through like they John Wayne. Well, get what Gary Monroe do. Man, look, we need you to talk to y'all ain't talking to nobody. Won't you let your little fancy reverends that be out there with all that faking, the ones giving out the water, not getting grant money for that? Won't you tell them go talk to them gangsters? Oh, don't you have a gang office in city government? Won't you tell Juliet Stepetch, who's over who's over that section or part of it, the educational part of it, to go out there and talk to them gang members? Man, Elwood Pollard, city council member, Demetri, District J. Man, you got one of the most violent districts in the city of Houston. A motherfucker just had his head cut off last night over there. And we thinking Acevedo did a hell of a job. Look, a motherfucker got his head cut off over there last night, man. These motherfuckers not playing. I see the good doctor has arrived. What's going on?
First of all, fuck Acevedo. I don't like your motherfucking ass. I never did like your motherfucking ass. And the chicken had came home to roost. You got your ass up out of here because you know that damn lawsuit came down and implicated your bitch ass. And on top of that, you nothing but a sociopath. Then let's even get back to how those people in Austin wanted to get rid of your stinking ass. Then let's get back to how they wanted to get rid of your ass, and Arnold Schwarzenegger had to bail your ass the fuck out when you over there want to be Mr. Nasty Time with folk.
And he was being Mr. Nasty Time.
Yeah.
Acevedo really was he in Austin grabbing him by the pussy?
Look here, in Austin, he was being very sexist, and I will pull this up. Hold on, this motherfucker here.
Grab him by the pussy hard.
Now he was doing that in California, and Arnold Schwarzenegger had to bail his old stinking ass out of there.
Let me take you to the game, and anything I say, I double down on. He was grabbing him by the pussy in Houston too.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Here we go. Let me get this tea right here. Because baby, this phone been lit all day today. Okay, here we go. It talks about, it says, now everybody, y'all listen up to this. Okay, Gary already know about it, but I'm gonna go ahead, let loose there. Gary, you take it from there. It states, now this comes from the Texas scorecard. This is where all of your elected officials, anyone that's in any type of position, even a chief of police, anything, this is where they are graded, right? This was done November 17th, 2016. This is what I'm talking about right here. It says, this graced chief falls upward. This is what they was talking about, his stinking ass in Austin before he came here. And it says, a police chief with a history of problems is being recycled from one cushy job to another, according to city reports. It says condolences to the Bayou City, which is Houston. Austin Police Chief Art Acevedo has accepted a job as Houston Police Chief, although a start date for his new job has not been announced. Mayor Turner is scheduled to make an announcement around 2 p.m. This was in November of 2016. Acevedo leaves the capital city as yet another milestone in his legacy of disgrace. It says he was pressured to leave the California Highway Patrol in 2007 following a sexual harassment lawsuit from a woman who allegedly had an affair with him. Afterwards, he was snatched up by the city of Austin and hired by police to be the police chief. This motherfucker come with too many goddamn problems. 1 minute you want to be
so he show up in Houston, and Turner tried to turn a police. Turner tried to realistically turn a hoe into a police chief. Yeah, he has a hell of a past to say he even was considered for the job. But now you add on top of that what did happen in Houston with the increase in crime, with the botch raid. You got 15 officers indicted, 2 indicted for murder, and you give him a job in Miami? Gonna be a bunch of dead Cubans.
Well, put it to you this way. His ass didn't apply for that motherfucking job. They gave that shit to him because, see, I'm going to tell you what the whole deal with this shit is. That motherfucker know that the shit is finna hit the fan. He already know because, Gary, when you dropped that shit from that lawsuit, that was on the 27th of January. Look at the time frame where we at now. That bitch that got out of here like a roach when you cut the light on that motherfucker in the kitchen. You understand? That motherfucker that got goals. Now ain't nobody trying to hear this shit. You know, like Acevedo, you a piece of shit. You just like Ted Cruz, bitch ass. And I'm glad you the fuck gone. But guess what though? Any one of you elected officials with the bullshit and you go into a city, 9 times out of 10, we gonna know somebody there and we gonna blast your bitch ass. That's what's gonna happen. Okay? I don't know about Gary, but see, I got my good hay in the day, baby, and this is perfect for Miami weather.
You know,
I ain't got no punk in me. I'm ready to ride every day of the week.
The thing that like we said on the earlier show when we did the break-in, my biggest thing is, as a taxpayer, what he didn't fulfill his contract, whatever that contract is, as he's sitting to resign. So what is the golden parachute that does he get out of this? Does he get some kind of residual? How much is Houston going to pay after he's long gone? Because here in the city of Los Angeles, we are still paying off. What's that white guy that went from city to city? You know what I'm talking about. Dimitri, what's his name?
Bratton.
Yeah, Bratton. We're still paying him. I mean, this is what they do. They come in and they negotiate, and they make these golden parachutes to where no matter what happens, if they quit, get fired, or whatever, they still get their money. So that's my biggest thing as a taxpayer. He didn't fulfill the contract. Houston needs to find out if this man's going to get paid while he's sitting over there in the city of Miami as well. Because that's what these guys do. They rack up retirements and retirements and retirements.
Well, I'm just going to say this. At the end of the day, the chickens then came home to roost. And that's just what that is. And trust me, don't get comfortable in that seat where you at, sir, because they're going to ricochet that ass right back here. And that's just what that is, because when Gary let us look at that, those court documents, he's implicated in that. So I'm just interested to see how it's going to turn out. I'm interested to see, is he still going to have his job? Because Miami is probably going to be his last spot. I'm interested to see.
Even if he makes it, because they went through the back door to get him in and didn't do it right. And now all this stuff is coming out. They may, pull the job. And, Al asked, well, who's going to be the new piss department chief now? I mean, there's only one guy that I see that deserves it in the house. His name is Troy Finner. 30 years. And the thing is not that he's black, not because he's black, because he's qualified. But I wanna address this because I'm gonna see if y'all really gonna step into this water. In the city of Houston, which is considered one of the most diverse cities in the country, we're quick to want to put Latino leadership in spots and know full well that these people are not qualified to do the job. So what are we going to do or say about the fact that in two prominent positions, the school superintendent and now the police chief, both Latinos, both left without fulfilling their contracts? But how do we even look at this again from a Latino perspective right now to put Latinos in positions of leadership?
Maybe because they want the Latino votes.
And it all comes down to policy and politics. It all comes down to that. It's about the votes and appealing to those that are going to give you those votes. But here's the funny thing, though. Half of Hispanics vote Republican because they have an entrepreneurial spirit. So the Democrats that keep letting these Latinos into the country are going to shoot themselves in the foot. But just like Donald Trump and a lot of politicians say, well, I'm not going to be here anyway, so I don't care. By the time all that happens, they're not going to be here anyway. But, with this training day scenario, I don't think it's a good look for Miami that he gets a subpoena to come back to have to testify to Houston. And then, of course, as we know, and it's like the 5-star just said, something just hit me. I know you're asking about the phone, but they don't really need the phone. If they got the phone number, they can go to the company with the subpoena and get the same records of what was transpiring, can't they? Of the transactions?
It's no doubt that they can do that, but you got to realize whether it's do you want to be the DA and dismantle the whole police department? Would you want to be the DA and do that? Now, from a police perspective, they won't release certain evidence. They got to keep fighting them in court to get things released. Bottom line, in the perfect world, if they could prosecute this case the way it needs to be, you would destroy the Houston Police Department. You would bankrupt the city of Houston because of all the innocent people that Gerald Goins put in jail, him and Steve Bryant. You wrongfully killed them people. So if you think George Floyd got 27 million, this is a good hunt here. With the corruption that went on with this, that's a good hunt. So these people, Houston is a flat out. Demetri, go home. Go on back to California, man. Take out with you. Motherfucker, stay around here. You gonna end up stealing some nickels from somebody. Cause you can't help but be corrupt in this motherfucker. These people is corrupt as all my doors, man. I ain't never seen no shit like this. And the head Negro in charge is the worst one.
You know, because it doesn't make sense. You know, you can get a drug dealer that, you know, even though they got the phone number, they can go, they don't really need the phone as long as they know the number, and they can go to the company with the subpoena, and then they can verify towers and stuff and all this other stuff. But in this case, they're waiting on the phone. They're like, we don't have the phone. I mean, it seems like the evidence that these professionals are supposed to be used to doing, they're incompetent, and they seem to be at a standstill for the simplest of things that they should be doing in regards to this case. But I think it's probably because a lot of it leads back, like you said, to the police department.
You gotta realize something though, that the DA office, they prosecute cases. They don't investigate. They prosecute. So the people that have to investigate this shit is them. You really think they gonna go find the shit they need to put their little comrade in jail? Shit, man, these people dirty, man. Like I said earlier, Demetri, I used to love Charlie Brown. These motherfuckers need a blanket, and they need to be the original pig pen. And Charlie Brown, the dirtiest these motherfuckers is around here.
But then y'all got to look at this too, is that at the end of the day, is that they're going to try to pay these people off so they can shut the hell up. You know what I mean? Just like they try to do with George Floyd's family. They're going to try to pay them off so they can shut up so this stuff can go away. But newsflash, it's not going to go away. And I'm just going to be straight up, y'all. I'm taking this a bit personal because I don't like Acevedo. I don't like him as a person. I don't like him as a chief of police because I done seen some old shady, shall I say, sinister shit with this guy. You know what I mean? So that's why
I like you, good doctor, but it's better from a friend than from a stranger. Now, when you brought him on your show, you wasn't hating him that much then. Did the hate develop after the show?
No, but check this out. I didn't know what I know now. You see what I'm saying? Because at first, he portrayed to be this gregarious person. He portrayed to be that he's for the community. He portrayed to be all of these things. Now, Gary, from a friend to a friend, you know I'm one of them ones, when I smell a rat, I'm finna go sniffing. Okay? And when I turn around and that dead dog,
from a friend to a friend, he still. But from a friend to a friend, he still got holes in his ass from sitting up here with us, cause we ate his ass up. We ate his ass up. We ain't give him no passes on this show, none.
Yeah. But he
call him passes now.
And see, you know what else too, and it really made me really go digging deeper with this guy because I was seeing all of the different behavior that he was doing. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me go ahead and do some serious research on this guy. And when I did the serious research on what I needed to know with this cat, he didn't want to come back on our show. I would see him in public. And when I see him in public, I always would do this because he already know that nobody wasn't playing with him. Then number two, I will turn right back around. You know, we done press conferences on his dog ass. Then all of a sudden, that audit came back. So now it's like everything is falling into place. See, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt in the beginning. But when you prove to show who you really are, I'm going to treat you accordingly. Straight like that. And I ain't going to give no ounce of leniency. Period.
Demetri?
Now, I was just thinking about, I can't remember who it was that said it, but that maybe Miami doesn't know for whatever reason what they're getting, but it's like, how could they not know? I mean, you could Google search it, which I just did, a Google search, and that stuff comes up, about the sexual harassment allegations from the girlfriend and all that other stuff. And so it's like, I years ago did an interview. I was actually going to be a correctional officer and a sheriff. I didn't pass the physical on each one, so it was a sign from God that it wasn't for me. But I know they do take you through the ringer as far as your background. You get psychological evaluations and all of that. And so to say that maybe they don't know what they're getting, it's a lie. I think it's fair to say they don't care what they're getting, which also speaks to the issue of corrupt police departments. I mean, there's name a police department that's not corrupt. And with that police department, the chief is usually corrupt. So they're just passing corrupt police chiefs all over the nation. I mean, Donovan brought up Bratton. He's been in several police departments, prominent ones, and it's been some mess everywhere he goes. And so that's just the police culture. They don't care. And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? What are the everyday citizens going to do about it? We know that the police officers usually are judge, jury, and executioner, and the chief is at the helm of that. So they feel like nobody's going to be able to check them. Obviously, I mean, this dude has gone from here to there with a checkered past, and ain't no telling what he's going to do in Miami. That's where they should be concerned.
But you know what, Demetri, you bring a real good point here. And this is actually a lesson learned for us as constituents, is that now when they try to bring folk, we need to do a background check on these folks so we know who we're getting. Because guess what? We were not given that opportunity like we're giving those people in Miami the tea. Because they said in Miami that Houston had a low police rate until I had to give them that data for them to see. HPD was the highest policing agency that was locking people up. I had to give them that data. So that's why I said what I said in the beginning. We need to make sure that we get with all of these activists and all of these people in all of these states, because all they doing is jumping from state to state with the corruption. So somebody got to put a stop to this shit. And again, why not? Because nobody didn't tell us. So now that we know, so we don't want to let the other city go into what we went through. You know what I mean? I think it's only fair.
And in Fayetteville, you say sexual harassment is hard to prove when people involved are grown, consenting adults until they get angry. I mean, I agree. It's hard to prove, but they also say sexual harassment is in the eye of the beholder. So who can really say, well, you weren't really sexually harassed if you really felt like you were? So it's kind of an ambiguous thing. But yeah, tell that to, the people who are accusing Governor Cuomo, and everybody else that is hard to prove. I mean, I think it really just depends on who you are. If you were like Trump, I mean, how many times was he accused of sexual harassment and then some? And he continued on to the presidency and is looking at running again in 2024. So I think it depends on who's attached to the allegations.
Well, I tell you this, I want to talk about hoes and freaks. hoes and freaks. For a long time, we've been electing hoes and freaks. No, I'm just gonna put it out there. We've been electing motherfuckers that play with little boys. Yeah, I'm putting it out there. We've been electing motherfuckers that had sexual harassment claims on their files. Yeah, I'm put it out there, man. We've been electing hoes and freaks. The mayor was involved years ago with somebody faking they goddamn death when he was an attorney. But we still elect these motherfuckers, and they come up in here with this bullshit, and you make us look horrible. Yeah, you got some hoes and freaks. Y'all videotape of y'all fucking in parking lots. You nasty son of a bitches. Y'all nasty. You need to govern. Or take your ass to the local, you so good with them, take your ass to one of them local Indian motels. Because all y'all doing is laying up with each other, sucking each other dick. I ain't talking about the women sucking the men's dicks. Y'all on some hoes and freak shit in Houston. And I said it. If you got a problem with it,
you know, the thing is, it's just like this this COVID bill that just passed. Only 10% of the bill has to do with the situation of COVID. Nobody knows that, but see, everybody's so excited about getting a one-time $1,400 stimulus check and their tax returns and all that other stuff. But nobody's talking about issues that's going to affect, especially the Black community, with the mass evictions that are going to be coming down the pipe when this is all over, because your rent is due when all this is over. And I put a video out, what was it, Demetra, last year, where I talked about that, you know, pay your rent. If you can pay it, pay it. But a lot of us, for some reason, we think, oh, I ain't got to pay no rent, girl. I got this extra money. You know, you got the brothers doing it too. You're getting your little TVs and all whatever you're getting, and that's fine. But then you're going to be hollering and screaming about getting evicted. And I'm going to talk about this right now, hoes and freaks. My question is, where is the Black leadership to talk about, like, what are they talking about right now? The kids on the border, once again, giving you a distraction. All you got to do is tell Negroes, here's a $1,400 free.
Let me tell you where they at. I'm so motherfucking mad about this. I'm going to tell you where they at. They out passing gift cards out. They might have $20,000 worth. They're going to pass out $100. They're going to keep the gift cards, you dirty, shady motherfuckers. They out here, you know, perpetrating the fraud on certain zip codes and don't want to get old people water because the old people tired of them with the fucking lies. That's what they are doing. They out here stroking the ego of these wannabe community activists, paying them motherfuckers off. You taking the money so fast, you can't even put it all in your pocket. You dropping it on the motherfucking concrete. You stank motherfuckers. All you bitches need to go to jail.
It's just like Lonzo just said there, the taxes are going up. How many people? Wait, you mean to tell me the taxes are going to go up and yet you're giving out all this money? 10% of this bill is actually going to people's pockets. The rest of it is going to other countries and into politicians' pockets and all this stuff. This is your tax money, and yet nobody's concerned about that, and no elected leaders are concerned about that. Nobody's talking about qualified immunity. Where's the Congressional Black Caucus talking about that? They're not talking about it. And speaking of courts and stuff, for those that you guys don't know, the judge in the George Floyd case has said, because just like the 5-star Journal told you guys a couple of days ago, you do not do the settlement before you get the justice. Now he's saying because the settlement was announced and put out there, it has tainted the jury pool. So the fix is in now.
They setting the table to let him go. They shouldn't
have
took the fucking money.
With the Turtle family. The same thing they're going to do with the Turtle family.
They shouldn't have took the money. Oh, but we got some bigger issues down in Houston. We look, If Demetria run a red light, they gonna try to treat her like she's Sandra Bland. Them motherfuckers down there is doing everything under the sun. And ain't one black person in charge got a goddamn thing to say about it. You can't control your white counterparts that's in politics in Houston because they got your nuts between motherfucking hands. Has anything ever come from the fact that Greg Travis said those nasty things about black women? What did they do about that? No, sit your ignorant ass up there next to Mr. Travis, look him in his eye, and the next time he call you a nigga in your face, because you ain't gonna do shit about it anyway. We some punks down in Houston when it come to politics.
I know if I see Greg Travis ass, it's on sight because I said what I had to say about that and I meant that. And my whole thing about that is that it was supposed to be.
But you're not on city council. You got more than enough black women on city council that should be appalled. But they're not appalled.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this here. I bet not see his motherfucking ass because I said what I had to say and I meant what I said. And my whole thing about it is that the last that I heard was that it was supposed to be an ethics committee that was supposed to have been happening. I would definitely double check and see what's happening with that. But that was the last I heard because I was ready for the next press conference to tear another hole in his ass.
But I tell you what, them same motherfuckers that's on the ethics committee, and I've been watching them for the last 48 hours. You got something to say about Kirk Franklin, but not Greg Travis. Y'all up in Kirk Franklin motherfucking business, but not Greg Travis. You see what I'm saying? Man, these people better shut the fuck up. It is on site with me, but on the real, they get enough of me talking about their ass on here. They don't know how to deal with me on here. So, how the fuck you talking about Kirk Franklin bitch when you got a bona fide racist sitting up there basically calling you a nigga?
Or the one that claimed that he had diabetes and he calling folks niggas. Yeah, that one. He blamed it on the diabetes.
Well, and then you got this senator out there calling Negroes and all this other stuff. He wasn't afraid of the rioters because they were nice and white. But if it was Black Lives Matter or Antifa, yeah, I would have probably been a little bit afraid.
Well, who the fuck is Black Lives Matter? Nothing more than a bunch of white folk that done hijacked the movement. Let's just tell the real. What you want is a scapegoat. I don't give a fuck if they get loose and they steal every TV in town, man. Fuck y'all.
I want to talk about something that I just learned about not too long ago. There in Indiana, there's a story of a guy killing his baby mom's family over a stimulus check. She got a stimulus check and he sounds like he wasn't working and all of that, and bullied her or tried to bully her anyway, up until the time he showed up to her house. He kept telling her, "You're going to give me half of the money." And she kept telling him, "No, you didn't do anything, for the money. You don't do anything for the kids," all that other stuff, right? So I guess finally she agreed to give him $450 of it. And then he shows up the next day, tried to, I guess, snatch her purse or something like that. And her brother, I think it was, tried to intervene, and he ended up shooting, I want to say it was her mom, her aunt, her son, and someone else. So four people were murdered, and I think total 6 people were shot over the stimulus check. He ran off with the daughter in question. I think she was like 6 months or something like that. They ended up catching him. But, I guess, between us 4 people here and you guys in the comment section, want to have a conversation, really, because I think, unfortunately, we're going to hear more stories like that, over this $1,400. To some people, it's a lot of money. To some people, it's not. But you have people who are willing to take people's lives over $1,400. And so I guess, we just maybe can figure out what can we say to somebody, to have them avoid going to prison or potentially the death penalty. I don't know if Indiana has a death penalty for catching a death rap, behind $1,400, something that did not belong to you. So what do you guys think about that?
Say, man, they treating the stimulus like crack. They spoon feeding it to you every 7 or 8 months. When a motherfucker know that money that came in, they going at it like gladiators. And they know that's going to happen. That's part of the reason that they do it like that. It's unfortunate that happened. It should not have happened. But I'm going to tell you, I'm like you. It's more of it that's going to happen. You have people that are literally starving right now. And guess what I'm saying? Don't y'all get mad. I can't tell a man not to eat. I'm sorry, but I can't. If I'm like that and I got a whole family, I'm going to rob and steal to take care of mine.
I mean, looking at it right now, this is where everything is going. I mean, this stimulus has taken away 40% of Black entrepreneur business that we've had, whatever was left. We lost 40% of businesses that aren't even coming back. The jobs, we are disproportionately as Black people at the bottom of every number. And as Andrew Yang said, we are less than 12 years away pre-pandemic from losing all of wealth. So when it gets to that point, it's the wild, wild west. At that point, I'm with the 5-star general. At that point, what can you do? Right here in Los Angeles, California, in Riverside, outside suburb of Los Angeles, you got young girls and mothers out here selling pussy for $30, and the price is getting lower. You know what I mean? It's getting to that point.
Thing.
It is. But, and if they ain't doing that, I mean, look at the My Fans. Look at what our women are doing just to survive. So if the women are doing that, what do you think young men are going to do that don't have an education or don't have the ability to go get a job that AI is taking away? It's the wild, wild west. We are here now.
I'm thinking about pulling out my silk boxers and going to the strip club. I got to get my money too. You know my stripper name, don't you? I change it up every 6 months. It was SDD, Short Dick Dan, but now they know me as Belly the Kid.
You got to change it up depending when you go to the different strip clubs. You can't have the same name unless it's, super, super popular.
Might be Delicious tomorrow.
We're laughing about this because, the thing is you have to laugh to stop from crying. This is the position we are in, and our Black leaders are doing absolutely nothing about it. I was watching this thing on Africa. I love watching the YouTube stuff on Africa. And you see all the corruption and the Black leadership over there. And, I have some friends about, yeah, man, it's a good thing we're here in America. I looked at him and I said, well, what's the difference? Failed Black leadership over there, failed Black leadership here. What's the difference?
I see Faye Bill. You say, yes, I heard that some people are beating up their older, I think you meant older relatives over the money and taking their college kids' checks too. And Gary, while a lot of people thought it was funny, I think you hit the nail on the head with it being likened to drugs. You starve of people, with this pandemic and all of that. And like you said, every so often they drop a little bit of money out there and then people go crazy over it. And I don't know what the man's situation was. I don't care what the situation was at this point. I mean, you don't kill up a whole family over $1,400.
But you think about it, if you wait 7 or 8 months to give us $1,400, a motherfucker willing to do anything to get it. They gonna do anything in their power to get it. And if that means killing somebody, some dudes are not beyond that. Look, they killing over $1,400. I know a nigga right there in the hood will bust your head for $5. I ain't mean to cut y'all.
No, but I mean, yeah, I get it. But, like I said, unfortunately, we're going to hear more and more stories of that where people don't have I guess they put a $1,400 value on somebody's life. It's crazy. It's like you think you've heard it all, But then you hear that is like, so you think you're gonna kill up a whole family and get away with it? I don't even know if the guy got the money. You know, because most people haven't even gotten their stimulus checks yet. So I mean, and if you ain't getting the money, it's probably because you weren't claiming a kid on the taxes or didn't have the access or the ability to do so. So now you're at a point where you just gonna take it. But yeah, we're gonna hear more and more stories like that. And God, you know, and check on the older people, because if that's what's going on, people are, you know, sticking them up for they, you know, they stimulus money, you know, be on the lookout, because that's just all bad. But Gary, I agree, that situation has most definitely been created.
They create these problems for us, and then they go back in and act like they have solutions for the problems that they created. And sometimes they actually can solve them, but sometimes they get so much out of hand, they don't know what to do. And that's why it's so important to have the leadership that we need that will stand in the gap for us when shit like this is going on. We need somebody black to say $1,400 is not enough money, man. It's not enough money, man. They talk that shit about Trump. Trump passed that last stimulus in 2-3 weeks. Shit, he brought it up, and before you know it, little money was dropping everywhere. But, you know, I give them a little credit. At least the inmates, they started dropping their $1,400 on their books in the jailhouse before a lot of people out here even got them. I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck they fill out a motherfucking income tax form in the penitentiary.
You know, the crazy thing is there's a lot of people, you know, they went on unemployment. They're getting state unemployment. They're getting federal aid. I mean, I know some people that were like getting like $8,000 a month, $9,000 a month, and all the aid that was coming in, plus the kids and all that other stuff. And they don't have a dime to show for it right now. And then when you ask them, well, what did you do with that money? Of course, they got their nails done. They got the Hennessy. They went partied. Went on a couple of flights, went to Vegas, went to New York, did a little shopping. I mean, it's almost like we are just addicted. Like you said, 5-star. I mean, I love a lot of the sayings that you say. We are just addicted to poverty. We are just addicted. And then people like myself, I don't get a stimulus check. Thank God I didn't vote for the Democrats. But the point is, people are in a position where they're making a lot of money. And you guys know who I'm talking about. You guys have relatives that you know was getting all kinds of money to stay at home. And then now here it is. They don't have money for their rent. They don't have anything. And then they're going to blame the system.
I want to just kind of say this, because I think what we do is we apply a large blanket to a small situation. That's not everybody. Everybody is not collecting boatloads of money.
No, we're not everybody.
Yeah. And they're not, and tricking the money off on hair and nails. And you know what? Up to the point to where it's like, so effing what? If they're buying those things, this situation was not created by the people sitting at home collecting checks. Most of those people were working. If it was at Taco Bell or whatever, they were working. And so then here's the situation that's created. These people are allowed to draw unemployment, and then money on top of that unemployment, and then you want them to go back to Taco Bell making $150 a week when they making $600, $700, $800 a week. You tell me what you gonna do. Of course you gonna stay home. I mean, it's like make it make sense. But I think what sometimes we do is we demonize people for doing better. They're not, they have an opportunity. You know how many people have not had an opportunity to stay home from work because they worked in 1, 2, and 3 jobs. And so here's an opportunity for them to make some money at home. Yeah, of course you're going to get used to that. But I don't think we should, get in a habit of making those people feel bad.
No. Don't take that wrong. Like I said, we're not in the everybody thing. What I'm saying is those people that made a lot of money like that, I've got relatives, they have nothing to show for it now. Like I said, it ain't their fault. The government told them, you stay home and we're going to pay you. I'm all for that. The problem that I have is the fact that they stayed home and now there's no jobs for these people to return to after doing all of that. And yet the Democrats, like I said, this man's been in office for 2 months now. 2 months. Before it was, well, he just got in office. Let's wait. This man's been in office for 2 months and has not addressed the eviction situation, has not addressed the job situation.
Well, I'm just going to say this. At the end of the day, when you guys get your money, you need to make sure that you invest and you use it wisely, because clearly they're expecting for you to buy all the damn snow crabs. They're expecting for you to buy all the hair bundles. They're expecting for you to buy all these damn TVs and stereo systems and beat in your car and swangers and everything else, enough for you to go and pawn it 2 months later. So really and truly, you have to look at, okay, if I'm getting this here funding, let me do what's right for me and my family. And that's what you need to do, because at the end of the day, you know, like people like me and other folks who get money all year that don't qualify for no stimulus, we gonna eat crabs, we gonna eat shrimp, we gonna eat that anytime we want to, but at the same time, we invest in that money. And then while we invest in that money is making money for us that we can live off of. So you need to make sure that you got your financial literacy down pat so you know what to do. Because buying them bundles, baby, them bundles gonna go bad after 6 months, boo. And you gonna be right back to that one ponytail. I'm just saying. And then them swangers that you got, that's gonna be good for probably about 6 months before you have to go pawn them. Because you're not gonna be able to participate in no slab ride and nothing else. So use your money wisely. That's all I'm saying.
I think, yeah. So I definitely believe in, you know, people should use their money wisely. But to a lot of us, $1,400, and I'm not trying to be an elitist, $1,400 ain't shit. I blew that last week in a matter of 4 days. So $1,400 ain't.
Hold up.
$1,400 is a good hair weave. I know that.
And you know, to some people, they like, hey, you know, I ain't had a good one in a minute, but I just think sometimes, and I'm just, you know, speaking in general, I think sometimes we get in the habit of demonizing people for wanting to do something else. Somebody wants to buy some crab legs or some bundles or some TVs or some nails. Like, do what makes you happy. Because one of my favorite phrases is, there but for the grace of God, there go I. Thank God I'm not in a position to where I have to make a decision between making my nails look nice or, you know, doing something responsible for it. And then most people who need the $1,400, that ain't gonna do nothing for them anyway. You know,
yeah, they're already months behind, so it ain't gonna matter.
And again, it's not their fault. We're talking about a situation that came from wherever, and it has landed upon the American people. Most other countries are getting $2,000 whatever a month to sustain themselves. So you have the American government, as Gary said, that's just like, here. All right, 6 months later, we're gonna fight over it in Congress and see if we're gonna give you some more money. And so when, you know, people get this money, yeah, they might not do the responsible thing, but I also think it's to each their own. You know, if I don't have to pay those people's bills, why am I concerned with what they do with the money?
But you know what, though? They need to look at this. First of all, we are still in a pandemic. Okay, anything can jump off. So don't sit up there and put yourself in a 9-line bind, and then you want to turn around and come whining when your money gone. You know what I mean? You got to think smart with what you do. But I just want to say I enjoyed y'all tonight, but I got to go jump on my other show. Chief Acevedo, fuck you, and I meant what I said. Y'all have a good night.
All right, Dr. Candace. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Let me speak on Kiki Willsworth thing, you know, and she says it exactly true. Like I said, I don't care what people do with their $1,400 stimulus. I'm mad at the fact that the politicians who they voted for, you guys voted for these Democrats and Republicans, they are not solving the problem that you sent them to government to solve. So Kiki says, my thing is people need to stay in their lane. If they get the money and use it irresponsibly, guess what? It's their business. But they shouldn't be whining and complaining months from now about rent and bills. Simple. Besides that, do what they wish. And I agree with that to a point. What I'm saying is, if I was in government, if Jerry Monroe gets elected and he's in government, that's what we send him there to do, to say, you know what? Let's stop giving these people money that they're going to be evicted. That's going to be a problem for us down the road. Let's pay the landlords now. Let the government pay the landlords so that people have a place to live. It's almost like they set us up to crash into the wall. That's what I'm saying. And but yet we continue to vote for these people who do not want to do their jobs, and especially Black politicians. They are silent. They don't say a damn thing. They have no ideas. Zero. They're just sitting there. They're all getting paid. But you guys vote for these people time and time again. So when the Houston education system crashes to the fucking ground and burns, Jerry Monroe, who has a passion for the kids, y'all don't want to get him on there because he's not the prototypical politician, but he's the only one that knows what he's talking about and has a passion for the kids. This is what I'm talking about. We got to change our mind. Forget the money. We could print more money. We could do all that. The point is, we got to change our mindset about people who are going to represent us and help us solve these problems. The pandemic is still going on.
Yeah. So, I mean, and Andre, how you doing? I agree with you. Say these people are grown, so no one can tell anyone what to do. And I think that's what we do in the society. We try to tell people what they should do with their money. If they don't want to invest their money, that's their business. If they digging in your pocket for the money, they ain't ringing your phone for the money, then who cares? That's their business. They can do what they want with it. Because I know I don't want nobody telling me how to spend my money, especially if I'm not asking you for any money. But yeah, I mean, I just think sometimes we get in the habit of demonizing poor people, for making the decisions that they make with their money. And again, at $1,400 shit, that ain't nothing. It's something to somebody, but to a lot of people, that's not going to help them anyway. I saw a tweet on Twitter that says when the $600 was coming out, he was like, man, F trying to pay your rent and all of that. But he says, go do something fun to make yourself feel better about this bullshit we going through. So
right. But but what I'm saying is the government told these people they've lost their jobs at no fault of their own. The government told them, stay home and we will pay. And you're going to give us a funky $1,400. Where is the outrage? That's where I'm going with it. You can do what you want with your money. It doesn't matter to me because the point is the government told you to stay home. So these representatives, can we get a report on, what we're going to do moving forward? Because this little funky $1,400, that ain't going to do nothing. And why am I being put out of my house? Because this is going to be a major problem, they say, in less than a year. And a lot of the landlords are doing it already. They're putting these people out, and disproportionately, Black women are the biggest group, and it is a major problem. I don't know about you. I don't have any little kids, but I do not want to see any children out there on the 91 freeway and stuff living in a cardboard box that we're seeing the homeless thing getting worse and worse and worse.
And true indeed is, so if we're speaking of, single parents or whatever, they not only got $1,400, but they got, $1,400 for each kid or whatever. So they could have gotten upwards of $6,000 or whatever, which is a significant amount of money. Hopefully they do the right thing, whatever that is, because the right thing for me may not be the right thing for them. But I just, I'm just one of those people. I think we shouldn't get in the habit of thumbing our nose or looking down on people who aren't into the stock market or investing their money, because somebody might tell you, well, that's a waste for you to put your, $1,400 in the stock market. What if you lose it? Why you didn't pay a bill with it?
And I'll tell them this: I was in the casino right next to you.
Right. Well, whatever you did with that money, that was yours to do it with. So,
But my problem is, people. It is not your fault. No matter what the situation is, your representatives told you to stay home. You should not be evicted, period. They should just do a freeze and say, you know what, from this time to this time, hey, we're going to take care of the landlords. But as far as the people, they stay. We're going to have a major problem in the Black community with evictions coming up. And that's right now my biggest concern, because I see it.
We said that from the beginning. We said that when the pandemic first started. So, I mean, the thing is there's more than enough information out there for you to get ahead of the curve. You just have to make the decision to listen to the information and apply it. It's unfortunate. That's what I'm going to say. It's unfortunate that we have to go through this. It's unfortunate that you have to wait 7 or 8 months and we have to bank on you being responsible with your money when you know what you should do. You know, if you got 7, 8 kids, because some of y'all do have 7, 8 kids, that's a lot of money coming to you at one time. It shouldn't be no issues. But if you fuck it off, that's on you, homeboy. I don't give a damn, man, because I'm living in the same pandemic that you living in. And I got to get it how I live every morning I wake up. I ain't got time to fuck around with y'all, man. You see what I'm saying? I hate to sound like that, but ain't nobody giving me shit. Just like ain't nobody giving you shit. So you got to be responsible. Final thoughts, Ms. Demetri.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, responsible is it means different things to different people, but yeah, I agree with you. It to each his own. You know, what you do with the money is what you do with it. If you know you have a need that needs taken care of, and you decide to go do something you want, like my dad says all the time, people buy what they want and beg for what they need. If that is you and you are continuing to, as I say, trick your money off, I mean, that's on you. Just don't come asking me for nothing. Like Gary said, I don't have time to worry about it. You know, I don't know. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, as this is not a situation these people created in the first place. And I want to say this too. There's people from all walks of life, men, women, you name it, who are struggling through this pandemic. It's not just, you know, women or whatever trying to go get hair and nails and all. It's a lot of people who are struggling. So I think we should do is, you know, have some sympathy and pray for those people and just be grateful that it's not us. I know that I am.
Well, I'm going to say this. The Democratic Party, all of the Democratic bootlicks that you guys voted for is doing all of the excuses of why they took $15 an hour out of that bill, because it makes no sense to work with a bunch of people that don't want to work with them. Why not just leave it in the bill? Now they have to go do you know how hard it is to even introduce a bill to the floor? It is very hard to even get it to that point. So now you do that. That would have helped 32 million Americans, black, white, whatever. 32 million people would have been lifted out of poverty, even though it's an incremental raise. The point is, get the shit done. And the Democrats aren't doing that. My whole thing, as you guys have been listening, for me is having these people be held accountable. We are sending them there and giving them 6-figure salaries, and they're not doing their jobs while they're giving you a funky $1,400 every 7-8 months. You know, we got to start holding these people accountable. And as far as Chief Acevedo's, I really do feel you guys would not have known what was going on if it wasn't for the 5-star general and Candace Matthews and the War Zone putting this information out so that you know. The sad thing is a lot of it is known after the fact. I would strongly recommend you guys look at the golden parachute to see if you are going to be paying this man's salary long after he's gone.
Well, I want to thank you. We're getting ready for a virtual fundraiser closer to the end of the month for the school board run. I want to thank all of y'all that have donated so far, man. Really appreciate it. And I just want to clarify, nobody said anything. When I travel, it ain't got nothing to do with y'all money, man. That's just money I got. I mean, I'm straight. The money that I have is in a separate account from y'all, in a separate account, and it's being used respectfully and honestly the way it should be used. We got a lot of work to do, man. But Chief Acevedo, on a personal level, good luck, my friend. On a police level, you should never hold another office. That's how I feel. And we're going to fight the battle because it's no disrespect to the other executive chief. I can't remember his name, but I know him. I've worked with him also. But I've also worked with Troy Finner. It's Troy's time. It's time for Troy to be the chief of police in the Houston Police Department. And we move from there and see if we can fix some of these problems. That's what we got to do. So, you know what it is with me? I want to thank you for taking the time out to tune in. It's a reason we the best in the business, man. We want to thank our guest tonight, Dr. Candace Matthews. But I got to thank my good friend, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetri K. And I am the 5-star general. Until tomorrow night, we'll holler at you.